Hello everyone, welcome to Let's Learn Astrology video 12 in my series, the 12th lesson of Astrology Basics. Yes, we're going to learn about the Dashas, the timing of events, but please remember, if you have not caught up with lessons 1 to 11, you must surely do so because we're going to use all those techniques and pull it together. So the link is below for you to catch up, otherwise it could be confusing. If the video is good for you, of course, give it a thumbs up and definitely sub to my channel if you're new. Great to have you on board. Let's go. But let me quickly address the questions from the last lesson to begin with. This will help me to expand the learning. If you're impatient to start the next lesson though, that's okay. The timestamps are below. First question, everyone. Is Nichbanga Raj Yoga weakened if planets come combust, if they are in a combustion? Nichbanga Raj Yoga, we did last lesson, a debilitated Nietzsche planet is with an exalted planet, same sign, therefore comes out of the debilitation. But good question, what if they are combusted? Say, and this could, by the way, happen 2 signs. It could be Aries or Libra. You could have Sun in Aries exalted with debilitated Saturn. Saturn should come out therefore. You could have Saturn in Libra exalted with debilitated Sun. Same issue. And we are presuming, of course, they are within orb of a combustion. Discussed previous videos. So combustion is hindering. Nichbanga Raj Yoga is helping. Is it weakened because of the combustion? No, in no way is there cancellation of this yoga just because of combustion, but both happen simultaneously. For example, in the Mahadasha of, say, Sun, Saturn, Sun, Aries, Libra, whichever way, you will find all of those Sun, Saturn karmas like father concerns, health concerns, career concerns, ego issues, maybe financial concerns, career issues. All of those are Sun, Saturn. Check video on my channel, by the way, Sun, Saturn conjunction, big hint there, but because there is Nichbanga Raj Yoga, you come out of those problems at the same time. Wow, both happen simultaneously. Now here's a question came up many times. Vipreet Raj Yoga, is it formed when 2 Dusthana lords are in a conjunction? We did Vipreet Raj Yoga last lesson, powerful yoga where you can take obstacles, make them into success. You get a lemon in life and you make a lemonade, that sort of thing. We saw how it is traditionally shown with 6th Lord, 8th Lord, 12th Lord, Dusthana lords in their own house, powerfully shown then, or in each other's houses. But we didn't see this because this is not seen by all astrologers. In fact, please remember, some astrologers say the only Vipreet Raj Yoga worth looking at is 6th Lord own house, 8th Lord own house, or 12th Lord own house. Now, this series is for beginners, and I didn't want to bring in all the expansions and extensions of all of these Raj Yogas because you'd just go crazy. You would want to give up Vedic astrology because really I have seen, and that's what I'm trying to teach, that it's the basic principles that work most consistently, really work. And that's what I'm teaching you all in this series. But for sure, certainly, Dusthana lords have an agenda in common. 6th, 8th Lord, 12th Lord, they are all bringing back difficult karmas to us. So when they get together in a conjunction in a house, they work well together for some time. For some time, they can help you overcome difficulties in that area. For certain, and some would say that is Vipreet Raj Yoga, yes, but here's the thing, as I said last lesson, the most important thing you have to understand about Vipreet Raj Yoga, however you see it, it has a sell-by date. At some point, those Dusthana karmas come big time. They cannot be stopped for good. So check what I said last lesson. Here's a good question. Are all of these yogas, we've been doing yogas for 2 lessons, complicated if there's a lot of planets in the sign? We've spoken about too many planets in a sign before. Yes, you can have too many planets in a sign. I've spoken about this. 3 planets in a sign, that's fine. Everything's as normal, no matter what's happening. But 4 is the optimal number. 4 is too many. 4 is too much noise in the house. What do they say? Too much noise in the data or something like that? Statistics. You've got too much going on in that house. It's complicated. Too many people in the house. It's stressful. Whichever area in a chart has 4 or more grahas, it becomes stressed. It becomes an area of complication or difficulty in that person's life. Having said that, if there are yogas happening with those planets, do not fear. They will manifest. But it becomes stressed because you are used to having stress. Let's say you've got 4 planets in your 4th house home. And you've also got a beautiful Lakshmi Narayan yoga with some of those grahas. It doesn't matter who they are, malefics, benefics. 4th house has become complicated, stressful. Until the Mahadasha comes of that Lakshmi Narayan yoga in that 4th house. Then you come out of it. You find solutions. Something changes. It's beneficial. So it's a complicated area where you have too many planets, but yogas will help. Do not fear. In this lesson, I'm going to learn about dashas, the time periods that we can see in somebody's life, unfolding of events. What are they and how do they work? We're going to especially focus on Vimsottari Dasha, using Vimsottari Dasha and timing. So what are dashas? Dashas, called Mahadasha time periods and Antaradashas, smaller time periods, are periods of time in which our karmas, as shown in our birth chart, will actually manifest. Now, if you come from a Western astrology background, I did, by the way, as I've told you many times, you will have perhaps found it really strange at first to hear Vedic astrologers, people who actually do Vedic astrology anyway, talking about ripening karmas. When will the fruit come? This sort of thing, as though everything is hanging on a tree, ready to drop. Have you heard this? See, everyone, I've mentioned it so many times, and I will mention it again because you can't do astrology unless you understand what you are looking at when you see a horoscope. It's not map of possibilities, personality. That is such a superficial way to see a horoscope. No, it is a coded map, a mystical representation of why you are here. What did we do past life? That's horoscope. Why are we here? What are we here to experience? And when will we experience it? Only Dasha shows us timing. So horoscope is a map of effect. We did certain deeds and now they're going to manifest as circumstances, results of our action, people who we will meet, places we will go, deeds we will be forced virtually to do. We think we're making a lot of free choices, but we are being pushed into them. We don't realize the power of the grahas. We should not underestimate it. So, yes, we have a little bit of free will, how we react to things, but ultimately it is destined, and Dasha is manifestation of our destiny. And by the way, there are multiple types of Dasha, Mahadashas, multiple ways to see this unfolding of karmas, like an onion being peeled layer by layer, like fruit dropping from a tree. Yes, there are transits to be seen, current situation of the planets in the sky, how they impact us. That's like the weather forecast. That affects everybody same time, but individually by your chart. Certainly, we will talk about it next lesson. In summary, of course, dashas are very, very special knowledge, very intense astrological knowledge. Seeing people's karmas unfolding is a special privilege. So we have to treat this knowledge with enormous sensitivity. Let's now have a look, of course, at the Vimsottari Mahadasha, the main dasha we're going to learn to analyze. Vimsottari Dasha system, I'm going to learn about it on this video. The most popular dasha to use for good reason. It is perfect for this time in human existence. Talk in a minute. But what you should make sure is software you are using. It is very easy to actually calculate Vimsottari Dasha, but we're not going to do that, are we? So software, website, make sure they are sidereal zodiac based. If it is a tropical zodiac based software, even though it is pertaining to bring up nakshatras and dasha, it is going to lead you in the wrong direction. You will never make good predictions. So don't do that. No tropical zodiac software. Use Jagannath Horus, certainly, perhaps free computer software, or Devaguru website linked below. It is also free there actually to bring up Vimsottari Dasha basically for your information. Vimsottari Dasha is a graha planetary based prediction system. Planets take over your life for certain time periods. Other dasha systems have signs taking over, but not here. Starting point for this Vimsottari Dasha is the ruling planet of the moon's nakshatra, lunar mansion of the natal moon. Now, not moon sign, but moon nakshatra. Now, I'm not bringing in nakshatra to this Vedic Astrology Basics series. There's a whole playlist on my channel. Find out about them there, how they work, certainly. But software will sort it for you. With this problem, though, I have to mention this. If your time of birth is not fairly accurate, you could potentially have starting point of your Vimsottari Dasha not correct. So be aware of this. Try to verify birth time. It's really important. And 120 human years is the total of this Vimsottari Mahadasha. And 120 years in this age of Kali, Vedic Shastras tell us, is the maximum length of human experience. So I know many people don't even get near it, but there it is. So this is a very reliable dasha that most astrologers would first and foremost use to make predictions. So let's see how Vimsottari Dasha goes, the order of the individual Mahadasha. Mahadasha means big dasha period of years where one planet rules your life. I've got them here in their natural order. Some astrologers say that starts from Ketu. It doesn't really matter because as a beginner, you only need to know this is the order of the Mahadashas. This never changes. Sun always comes to the moon dasha next, followed by Mars, Rahu, Jupiter, Saturn. After Saturn is Mercury, after Mercury, Ketu, after Ketu, Venus. And if you're in Venus dasha, you would go on to the Sun next dasha. They are circular, really, but here they are. So Sun is 6 years, Moon 10, Mars 7 years, Rahu 18 years of your life, big chunk, Jupiter 16 years, Saturn 19, not the longest though, Mercury 17, Ketu 7, and Venus, the longest Mahadasha, 20 years. Add them all up and they will come to that total maximum human life in this age of 120 years. Of course, according to the moon position in your chart, moon nakshatra, you will start with one of these planets in your life, and they will continue in this order. So let's see this in the horoscope. Of course, Marilyn Monroe, we're going to come back to this in a minute, but we're going to make some really good predictions, hopefully. Let's see Vimsottari Dasha. This is Deva Guru website. So Vimsottari shown here, starting Tara Moon Danista. We don't need to worry about that. We want to know what is the first Dasha. The first Dasha is Mangala, as you can see, followed by Rahu, Jupiter, Saturn, Mercury, in the order I have just shown you. Note that Mangala Dasha had already started before she was born. This sounds strange, but don't worry about that. Just see how long she's going to experience it for now as a beginner. So Mars is 7 years in length, we have seen, but it started 1.5 years before she was born. Therefore, it will go on for 5.5 years only until she gets to Rahu. Then she will have that full 18 years of Rahu Mahadasha until she is 23.5 years. After which she will go into Jupiter Mahadasha, of course, when she is 23, and she could continue in that until she was 39 when Saturn begins. Jupiter is 16 years, as we have seen, but she actually died in this Mahadasha, so she didn't get to Saturn Mahadasha. Next, let's consider the general effects of the Dasha, how each Mahadasha planet affects everybody. But before I do that, there is a very important principle about this that is not generally understood, I think, and that as beginners you want to grasp straight away. And that is that every Mahadasha that comes upon us changes us completely. In other words, and this is a real issue, we actually become that graha. It isn't that you have entered Venus Mahadasha. Venus has influence over your life. No, you are Venus. You have become Sukra during that 20-year period. Now, be clear, you're not going to just wake up one morning like a new person, like you've had a personality change and something weird like that. No, on the first day of the new Mahadasha, everyone. But what happens is you slowly switch, and it's actually called Dasha Sandhi. The end of one Dasha and the beginning of the next is a switchover, a very confusing time. Therefore, every single Mahadasha starts a little bit confusing, strange, new, and then you find your feet. That's it, and you go on with that new experience in your life for sure. I'm going to go through now general effects of each Mahadasha law, but very, very quickly for you. Please check out, though, on my channel, there's a whole playlist where I have given each Mahadasha one video to itself, and I've gone into enormous detail about each Mahadasha Lord. Check it out. The link is below. The Sun Mahadasha is really fast. Things change in your life. It's a very intense period when you can accomplish a lot. Sun gives us energy. Sun gives us ambition. But Sun is about righteous action, dharma. Be very clear. If we do ill action in Sun Dasha, sometimes there can be fast retribution. Don't be surprised. But it can be a healthy time if Sun is doing well in a particular horoscope, when you accomplish a lot, when you get ambition, have a lot to do with authority figures, government, sometimes education, skill education, this sort of thing. It's a successful Dasha, purposeful Dasha, many people. And then the Moon Dasha comes, 10 years in length, when everything shifts. All of a sudden it's about emotion, feeling, belonging, family. You want to belong, connect to other people. People get very emotional, touchy-feely in this Moon Dasha period. It's very common to get married, start family, make new friendships, move home, all of these things. But if Moon is not well placed, you can feel out of sorts, like you don't belong anywhere, and this can be quite painful factor. Mars Dasha, just like the sun, fast moving, 7 years of action. Mars makes you get up and do stuff, attack, be a little bit more cutting edge. Some people become even violent, aggressive, or at least in their speech. Mars is a no holds bars Dasha. People want to accomplish something, or they can attract very aggressive, difficult people into their experience. You become impatient. There's so much happening in such a short time, even accidents can occur. The long Rahu Dasha, 18 years, is a strange time. It's full of illusion, strange things happening. It's like anything can happen. Rahu is Maya and illusion, but no Dasha can give you such success. Whatever you want, be careful. Rahu Dasha, you can probably get it. But the thing is, it will be seen to be not quite what you expect it to be. That's the thing. Rahu shows you the illusion of this material world. But many people marry, start business, start doing independent work, travel, go to foreign lands. All of these things happen in this Rahu period. Jupiter period brings everybody into a very optimistic mood. You want to connect to people, a bit like Moon Dasha in a way. You become a bit overindulgent. You can even put on weight. You can have education, kids, success, expansion of your life, foreign travel. You can even find guru, teacher, mentor. It's a very positive Dasha, but some people waste it. You can get lazy, under motivated, depending how guru is in the individual horoscope. Saturn Dasha brings you down to earth. Now you've got to stay put. Now you've got to work. Now you've got to build foundations. Now everything becomes twice as hard as it was in Guru Dasha. Many people feel this happen. But good news, you can attain something solid, worthwhile. At the end of Saturn Dasha, people have matured. People get solid structure. People actually can accomplish the most amazing amount of purposeful work. But it all depends what Saturn karmas are, of course, in the individual chart. And then when you go from all of that structure, you start to move. You get restless because Mercury Dasha comes and all of a sudden you want to communicate, move, be young again. It doesn't matter how old you are. Mercury Dasha makes you more youthful, at least in your head. It's a good Dasha for learning, education, travel, communication, but it can be a little bit destabilizing. There can be health issues, skin issues, nervous issues, all these sort of things. In Ketu Mahadasha, 7 years in length, just like Mangala Dasha, Ketu is so like Mars. You can become quite aggressive, impatient, feel as though all of your nerves have become frayed actually in this Ketu period. It is very intense indeed. Depending what Ketu's doing in the individual chart, though, you will certainly become more spiritual, interested in astrology, occult, other worldly things. It's hard to focus on everyday tasks when you're in Ketu Dasha. Just like Mars Dasha, you can have accidents. Watch who you're hanging around with, because if you're hanging around with anybody a little bit suspect, dangerous, you can get into very difficult situations. But Ketu Dasha will give you spiritual growth. It will show you some great insight that will be important for you. Ketu is about computers, by the way, skill around small machines. So for some people, it can be very successful in these areas. But it's the least materially successful Dasha generally, because Ketu is not concerned with this material world. So one thing it will show you is past life debt. It will show you somebody or something from past life. People who you meet, Ketu Dasha, wow. There's some unfinished debt there. But as I say, check out the videos on my channel about individual Dasha. Here, we are just touching the surface. And the lengthy Venus Dasha can be a very self-indulgent time. Depending what Venus does in your chart, though, many people certainly want to be with other people. Just like Jupiter Dasha, Moon Dasha, it's a benefic planet, so you can find new friends. Social life gets bigger depending on your age. You can get married, have romantic involvement, definitely. Falling in love is easiest of all in this Venus Dasha. And Venus has a lot to do with home comforts, happiness. So people try to get home life going well, get comfort, get luxury, get those little icings on the cake of life. It's a generally positive dasha, but it can make people smothered in material effect. Therefore, some people in Venus Dasha find themselves continually dissatisfied, much like Rahu Dasha, actually, a very similar effect. Now, what about judging effects in the individual chart of these Mahadashas? What I've spoken about was very generalized, applies to everybody, but in the individual horoscope, Mahadasha will have those effects, but have extra potency, difficult or good. And this is where you need astrological techniques to be able to decipher this and to make good predictions. So how to judge effective Mahadasha? Of course, it could get complex. I'm going to keep it to the basics as always. Therefore, everyone, I'm going to give you 3 rules. Apply these and you'll make very good predictions. The first important consideration is the ascendant itself, Lagna. Knowing the sign ascending in the horoscope gives you the first and sometimes most crucial judgment of any Mahadasha. Why? Because each Mahadasha lord from ascendant rules different houses, impacts different areas in that person's life. And of course, the actual houses ruled by the Mahadasha lord from ascendant make all the difference. Let's have a quick look at this. It divides up into these 2 camps, basically, everybody. Houses ruled by the Mahadasha lord in a chart. Don't forget, in most ascendants, in fact, all ascendants, there will be dashas when Mahadasha lord rules good houses and difficult houses simultaneously, giving for mixed results. Okay, only Sun Mahadasha, Moon Mahadasha will the lord just one house in a chart. So good houses, helpful situations come when the Mahadasha lord is the lord of the 1st house, 4th house, 5th house, 9th house, 10th house. Difficult, challenging situations come into our lives when he lords 2nd house, 3rd, 6th, 7th, 8th, 11th, and 12th. As you can see, 2nd house, 7th house, 2 stars are Marika. That means death inducing. Doesn't mean you're going to die. There's so much else you have to see for like a charts, but it does produce stress. And the 11th house has a mixed effect. Let's now actually just quickly see each individual house though, because this can be a helpful analysis. So the house is ruled by the Mahadasha planet. Get this right, not where they are, that's coming next, but ruled by Mahadasha lord. When Mahadasha lord, Mahadasha planet is, by the way, I keep on saying lord or planet means the same thing, as you can see. So the Mahadasha planet ruling your life rules your ascendant. This is good. This can give you good health. This can protect you in many difficult circumstances. You can even get fame, success. Generally, it is auspicious when ascendant lord rules Mahadasha. No matter what other house he rules, it is a protection. Now, we've just seen that the 2nd house is a Marika house. This means giving fear. There's a fear factor. 2nd house is a changing factor. Second to any house is a Marika situation where things change. So there can be health issues. There can be fear of insecurity happening, emotional, financial, all of these things. Family matters become crucial. Some people's horoscopes in the second house Lord Dasha. What I've seen is conflicts happen. You become in a conflicting situation with other people, not just family members. And this can have financial implications. Business people have a stressful time when they are in Mahadasha, which is the Lord of the second house. Another conflicting house is the third house. This is the actual house of arguing, fighting. So when the Mahadasha planet lords the third house, you can expect that this is going to bring you into further confrontation. But this is ego. You get very ego driven in this third house lorded Mahadasha, definitely. Whoever is the planet, benefic, malefic, you get ego driven. But I've seen third house Lord Mahadasha, you moving around a lot, changing a lot, traveling a lot, communicating a lot, meeting new people. This can have favorable factors though, so we have to see it this way. Mahadasha of the fourth house Lord in your life is favorable. When this Lord happens in your life, something switches, something becomes more solid. It can be helpful for your home affairs, domestic affairs, moving home, inheritance even, property matters can be favorable. In addition, fourth house is about education generally. So fourth house Lord can give good education experience opportunities many times. Mahadasha Lord of the fifth house is really helpful as well because you get enthusiasm, enlightenment. You can get learning again, good creativity as well, musical skill, talent, acting skill, all of it. It's a very optimistic phase. Even some people get luck coming in strange ways to them. Generally, people come into your life who are favorable to you. Even love affairs can happen. Definitely children can be a big factor in this Lord of the fifth house, Mahadasha. When the sixth house Lord is the actual Mahadasha Lord, any Dasha Lord, it can definitely bring conflict into your life. You're always into some competitive situation, conflict. Workplace can become stressful. There can be accidents, health issues, all of these things. But here's the good news. Sixth house Lord is an Upachaya house. You can get stronger through dealing with these difficult situations very often. All depends where the Lord is, of course, in the chart. Mahadasha Lord, lording seventh house in your chart, definitely. It's a Maraka house again. So there's going to be some stress. Yes, it's a house of marriage. People can get married in the Mahadasha of the seventh Lord. But they can also get divorced. The thing is, it's a big relationship decision time. It's a bit stressful because all of these relationship changes have a really big impact on our whole life situation. So it's a new direction. It's a turning around time. It's a stressful dasha generally, I have seen. When the Mahadasha lords the eighth house, Mahadasha is the lord of the eighth house rather, it's a changing time, it's a trauma time, it's a really upheaval time. But you see, this can be positive, negative, depends where the lord is. The eighth house lord brings you into change, transformation. There can be many sudden events, unexpected events I've seen in the Mahadasha of the eighth house lord. You can get powerful knowledge here. Occult study, astrology can be very good during this time period. Watch your back though, don't do risky behavior, that's the thing. When the ninth house lord lords any Mahadasha or even Subdasha period, it's fortunate. You can get fortune, fame, some people. You can get success, definitely. You can travel a lot during this time. Going into foreign lands could be favorable, but you have to see where the Lord is, of course. But generally, you can get inspiration, guru, help, teachers, mentors support you. It's a fortunate time for many people. Mahadasha Lord ruling 10th house, excellent. You can get support from boss, superior. You can have career, success, promotion, all of these things, depending where the Lord is. It can be very successful for your status, place in the world. What I've seen is Mahadasha planet lording 10th house helps your confidence. That's the most important factor. 11th house lord, this is a bit strange. As I've said previous slides there, 11th house is a Harabhava. We have discussed this previous videos, check it out. So it's 6th house from the 6th house. You can have conflicts, arguments, friendships are stressful. All of these things happen, but you need other people during this phase. That's the thing. It will link you to other people strongly. Karmic friendships, karmic connections come into the life. But watch it here, because 11th Lord is a testing time. You'll be tested for your morals. That's the thing I've seen very often. The Lord of the 12th house comes. You know, this is the marriage bed. You could even marry in this period. People don't know of this. But here's the other thing. You may have to go into distant shores sometimes. You may have to travel a lot, move a lot. And it is a very stressful time for that. 12th house is about unconscious fears. I've seen many people get psychological distress, stress, conflicts, difficulty, emotional trauma even, depending where this 12th house lord has gone. Mahadasha of the 12th house lord is a very different thing for certain people. Yes, I've just said marriage could happen, but also isolation could happen, divorce could happen, separation can happen. You see, it's about spiritual direction, whether it's connecting to others, disconnecting to others. You see, everyone, 12th house lord is about finding spiritual direction. You get in touch with your spiritual journey powerfully during this Mahadasha Lord's period. The second factor, judging effects of Mahadasha, everyone, is the placement of that Mahadasha planet in the actual horoscope, the strength of the planet. So this is how we can see strength. Placement of the Mahadasha planet in an exalted position, in his own sign, in his Mula sign, or in the sign which is ruled by a friendly planet. Now, all of these factors, exaltation, Mula friends, enemies of each individual graha, we have discussed previous videos. You need to go through those if any of this is confusing. Now, weakness of the Mahadasha Lord in that Dasha is shown in the chart when he is in a debilitation sign, opposite to his own sign or Multricone, or in an enemy sign. So this means two things, you see. Mahadasha planet is you. That's what we've just discussed. Don't forget, check out what I said previously in the video. You become the Mahadasha planet. If it is strongly placed, you become strong. If it is weakly placed, you struggle. So when Mahadasha planet has these weaknesses, particularly these weaknesses, you need remedies. And that's why on that playlist on my channel, Mahadasha Lords, I have got remedies with every single Mahadasha planet. Check it out carefully. As I say, the link is below. Now, consideration of the placement of the actual Mahadasha planet in the horoscope from ascendant. Generally speaking, Mahadasha planet gets strength when he is in the 1st house, 4th house, 5th house, 7th house, 9th house, 10th. Kendra, or in the Trikone houses like this. Now you're thinking, what happens if he is weakly placed in these houses? Say you're in Jupiter, Mahadasha, and he's in ascendant of the horoscope. Good placement, but he's in Capricorn debilitated. Then you get mixed results. That's how you see. And the more challenging placements of any Mahadasha Lord, Mahadasha planet from the ascendant in the chart, is when he is found in the 2nd house of the horoscope, 3rd, 6th, 8th, 11th, and 12th. Can't say which is the most difficult of these. They are all definitely challenging. Final important judgment, you should see the aspects of the Mahadasha planet itself in the horoscope. Let's have an example to make it clear. Let's say we've got a Libra ascendant here and they are in Guru Mahadasha. Obviously, Guru is not a good planet for Libra because he lords the Sagittarius, Pisces signs, 3rd and 6th house lord. He is not a helpful planet for Libra, but he's in a very strong house. Fantastic. 10th house. So we could predict that this Libra person's going to have some quarrels, difficulty, 3rd house Lord Sagittarius, 6th house Lord Pisces, maybe health issues, sibling issues, all of these. But career's going to change. Maybe get good opportunity because Jupiter is exalted. They will be up for the challenges because Guru has exaltation. In addition to this, Jupiter's aspects really count. Jupiter aspects onto Scorpio, 5 away, aspects onto the opposite sign, Capricorn, and aspects onto the 9th house away, Pisces. So during this Guru Mahadasha then, for this Libra ascendant, there'd be factors about money coming up, family concerns, home concerns, mother maybe having some concerns as well. Jupiter's 7th aspect's not as strong, but domestic affairs become something of a special thing here. There mightn't be a struggle, all depends who is here, who is Guru aspecting. That's the thing. A benefic planet here, fantastic. A malefic in the 4th house, some struggle. Jupiter aspecting 6th house, health concerns there. Workplace stress, definitely, but big changes happening there for certain. Now, these are the site aspects that we have done previous videos of the Mahadasha planet. You can see sign Rasi aspects as well, but the site come first because this is where the action's going to happen. Jupiter has awakened in your life and he is looking at these areas in your chart. Finally, of course, I haven't put any here, but Jupiter may be with some other planets in that sign. That is conjunction. If there are any other planets with the Mahadasha Lord, they are going to affect that Mahadasha, particularly any yogas they form. You have to take that into account. We're going to see some really good examples of that right now. And here's our first example. Guess who this is, everybody? Yes, it's Marilyn Monroe as a baby. She entered Mars Mahadasha between 0 and 5. And you are going to do this yourself now, you see. Consolidate learning. So grab a coffee, pen and paper. This is your task. I put down those 3 factors: ascendant, houses rule, placement Mahadasha, aspects Mahadasha Lord, just to help you. What would you predict for this child between 0 and 5 years of age from her horoscope? Take some time, stop the video, make a few notes. How did it go, everybody? She's Cancer rising. Is Mangala Mahadasha good or not for Cancer people? I hope you all got it super strong, super good. Mars lords the 5th house of Scorpio, 10th house of Aries, Kendra, Trikone, super good Mahadasha for Cancer ascendant. Plus, did you think of this? If you did, well done. Mangala is the Yoga Karaka planet for Cancer Lagna. Well, this is super favorable. This is helping her. This is protecting her. Don't forget, she's a newborn baby. This is Lagna. So when it is good from Lagna, it can protect her life. But when we go on to all the other factors, I'm sure you saw it got quite challenging. Mangala is in Aquarius placement, you see. Now, that is not a good placement because Mangala is in the sign of enemies, Saturn, Rahu, and that's Aquarius, of course, and in the 8th house, doubly not a good factor. So this baby is going to have traumatic circumstances, change, challenge, is not going to have security because the 8th house is probably the least secure house in the whole chart. But what else did you see? Did you see aspects? What's the first aspect that you see straight away, everybody? Conjunction to Guru. You should have noted that because this is so important. The conjunction of Guru helps her, first of all, survive, because Guru is life. So Mars is a yoga karaka, giving her strength. It's in a challenging house. She's going to need all the strength she's got. She's going to go through insecurity, difficulty, challenge, but Guru saves the day. Then, of course, we see site aspects of Mangala, fourth aspect onto the 11th house, of course, seventh aspect onto the second house, and the eighth aspect onto the third house. I hope you saw those successfully. Thing is here, everybody, although Mangala is good for her, he is in a difficult house, and these houses are challenging. 11th house, third house are not the most auspicious houses. We've discussed this quite a few times. Third house, moving around a lot, not stability. This is a house of community, other people taking care of her. She is going into the community to be looked after. In fact, everyone, it's a very chaotic time for her because Mangala aspects Mercury. Mercury is the lord of the 12th house, large institutions. Almost immediately, this little baby had to go into a children's care home to be cared for because the mother was under such stress she simply couldn't cope. But you see, Mercury is the lord of the third house, coming and going. So it was really chaotic. She was in the home, out of the home, with the mother trying to cope, and then back in the home. Mars aspects the second house. Second house is the house of early childhood environment in terms of security. Was she secure? The sun is the Lord. No one is here. The sun is with Buddha. Mercury, Lord of the institution house. We have seen Lord of the third house, changeable factors, neighborhood, coming and going. A very chaotic and insecure environment. Finally, did you see anything here about father? Did you consider about father situation? If you did, that's good. If you didn't, stop the video and have a close look. Father is the 9th house, lorded by Guru, who is with this Mangala. But he's gone 12 to himself, 12 houses away. So this is loss. Father is lost to her. Father is not supporting her in this Mahadasha. Father was nowhere to be seen. In fact, she didn't know who he was for a long time in her life for sure. No connection with this Mangala and this Saturn, mother, 4th house. But of course there is. There's a permanent connection between them. Did you see that? Yes, it's the sign aspect. Saturn, Mangala have a permanent mutual Rasi aspect to each other, and this is not easy. Saturn Mars is a difficult combination, so certainly this Saturn is struggling, this mother is struggling. Exalted Saturn, retrograde, acting in a debilitated state. So mother is in a debilitated state, struggling to cope with this baby. That's what we can see here. Let's have another go with this, everybody. Practice makes perfect in astrology. Rahu Mahadasha for Marilyn Monroe. Don't forget, she's going to mature here. This is 18-year Dasha between 5 and 23 years of age. Use all of these points. Don't forget, she was actually called Norma Jean then. Here she is with her spaniel. What can you predict for this long 18-year period? Stop the video. Make a few notes. Let's start at the beginning then. As always, the ascendant. Is it good for this girl, this young person? Rahu Mahadasha, she's Cancer ascendant. I hope you said definitely not no, because Rahu is the lord of 2 difficult houses. Virgo, the 3rd house, and of course, lord of the 8th house, Aquarius, 3 and 8. This is not good. Rahu is a challenging Mahadasha for Cancer ascendant. The next judgment, placement of the Mahadasha Lord. Here is the Mahadasha Lord in the 12th house. That's not a good placement. Dustana house. So she's having trouble. It's not an easy Mahadasha, and it's placed 12th to the ascendant. She's going to have loss. She's going to suffer difficulties in this Mahadasha. But then 2 other things are happening which gives strength to her despite many challenges. Did you see this? I hope you noticed, first of all, Rahu is in exaltation sign Gemini. So despite very difficult house placement, not good for the ascendant, this girl will come out of these difficulties through the strength of the sign in time. But she's going to go through some really difficult challenges, especially when we see the aspects, everyone, coming up to that. But there's another favorable factor some of you may have seen. Did you see that this is a Vipreet Raj Yoga? Why is this? Because Rahu is the lord of the 8th house, Dusthana house, from Aquarius, gone into the Dusthana house, 12th house. Previous videos we saw you get difficult circumstance, but you come out of it. You get some favorable factors coming to you. So we are going to see this happen, but it doesn't happen straight away, that's for sure. So it's a mixed factor, isn't it? Ascendant is not helpful, placement is not good, 12th house, but there are positive factors, exaltation and Vipreet Raj Yoga. So it's mixed, but it's generally not so good. Now the aspects tell us that this is going to be extremely difficult. Why? Because Rahu has a 5th aspect onto the malefic Saturn and an 8th aspect onto Guru but Mangala, 2 malefics. So we can see these malefic and not good karmas. Rahu Saturn, Rahu Mars, these are very, very difficult. Karmas happened straight away. Soon as she was 5, she was separated from her mother. Rahu Saturn aspect, Rahu Mars, it's trauma, because this is the 8th house of trauma. So her mother had schizophrenia, and that had always been there, but it got really bad when she was 5. And at 5, mother went into mental health institution. That was a big break. She never saw her for a long, long time. Don't forget, Rahu has a 2nd aspect. I hope you saw this. Rahu's drishti is onto the ascendant, onto her. This is a malefic aspect onto the ascendant. Her life is changing. Where is she going to go? Rahu aspects the 6th house, where Ketu is. 6th house is the house of foster mother. She didn't go into foster care, though, straight away, but she did go into large institutions. Rahu is in 12th house, places such as hospitals, asylums, places such as orphanage, where she went. We can only imagine, actually, what psychological stress and misery this young girl went through with this isolating Rahu 12th house, loneliness, unhappy home life, Rahu Saturn, Rahu Mars. This is dangerous influences. She actually spoke about having experienced sexual abuse during this time. We are not surprised by these aspects. Another important factor, Rahu's full-on drishti to Ketu. Don't forget, Rahu is obsessed with this Ketu position. 6th house pets. Ketu is dogs. Here she is with her dog. She loved animals all of her life, but there was a very upsetting factor here. She was so attached to her spaniel dog. He got shot because Jupiter, lord of this Ketu, has gone with Mangala, violence in the traumatic 8th house. More misery, more difficulty, separation. It's a trauma time, isn't it? A most difficult time for this child. But Rahu is exalted. Rahu has Vipreet Raj Yoga. Something good's got to come near the end of this dasha. Did you see some of these things, everybody? Let's see. The first thing was she got married. She got married at 16 years of age. I've just cleared everything here to keep it a little more simple for us. If you saw the marriage, well done. If you didn't, stop the video. How can we see marriage happening in this Rahu Mahadasha? Yes, did you see it? Rahu here, Rahu's full aspect onto Shani. Shani is the lord of the 7th house of marriage. Marriage opportunities are sure to come. Plus, you might have seen Rahu's aspect onto Mangala. Mangala is the lord of the 5th house of romance. You could see that as well. But this marriage to Jim Doherty was more or less an arranged marriage in a strange way. She actually married everybody in the Rahu Ketu period. Now, we haven't done Antaradasha coming up later in the video, but Rahu Ketu, she got married. That seems strange. Why would Rahu Ketu in this 6th house, bring marriage? But this is the beauty of Vedic astrology. It's so accurate. Let's put it in. Rahu aspecting Ketu. Rahu Ketu, she got married. Ketu is in the 6th house of step-parent or foster mother. At this time, she was living with her foster mother, been there for some time, but the foster parent had to leave state. And if she left the state, she could not take Norma Jean, as she was then called, with her. So to stop Norma Jean having to go back into an orphanage, which she would have had to do, she arranged, if you like, that she would get together with this boy, Jim Doherty. And that's what happened. It was not a very compatible situation, though, and they did get divorced in Rahu Mangala period. Okay, so the thing is, of course, this is the 2nd house to the 7th house, and the 8th house has a lot to do with longevity of relationships. So this Mangala is disturbing here. He's a malefic, Rahu Mars. But something else happened towards the end of Rahu Mahadasha, because a major yoga is going to explode here when she is in Rahu Mars. Towards the tail end, very last period of Rahu, it was Rahu Mars. Now, we haven't done Antaradashas coming up, but just see, Mars is with Guru. That is the Lakshmi Narayan yoga. Jupiter rules 9th house fortune, Mangala rules 10th house career. They are together at the end of Rahu Mahadasha. She got modeling career and she got a contract with a Hollywood studio. That was the beginning of her rise to fame and fortune at the very end of this Rahu Mahadasha. Finally, Jupiter Mahadasha between 23 to 36, 2 marriages, fame and fortune. We know that's happened. How can you see it? Can you see the fame and the fortune, the marriages? Check this out, same things. And we're going to do this one very, very quickly. Yes, she did die here, but we're not going to focus on that aspect just yet. Future videos, we will definitely go into that. Well, first of all, from Ascendant, from Cancer Ascendant, is Guru Dasha good? It is very good, I know. 6th house Lord, but the 9th house Lord tops it all, because 9th house is the house of fortune. So it's a mixed thing, but it's mostly fortunate for Cancer Ascendant. See, we have said 9th house Lord brings fortune, fame, money, riches, and she certainly had that. But 6th house Lord, there will be conflict. She may make enemies, and she did. And she can have health problems, which she certainly did as well. Let's judge Jupiter now. The 8th house is not a good placement, but is it good in Aquarius? It's mixed. Why? I hope you got this. Jupiter is neutral towards Saturn, but not friend to Rahu, lords of Aquarius. So it's a mixed situation. But he is with Mangala, who he is friend to, lord of the 10th house, career, fame, fortune. She's going to get career rise, success because of this. There's lots of things to see here. Jupiter, Mangala is that Lakshmi Narayan, yoga, fame, fortune, success, riches, all of that coming to her. Mangala is 5th house Lord. She had many romances, but you see, as we are going to see Jupiter's aspect, there was some difficulty there. And she certainly had pregnancies as well. Jupiter is 9th house Lord. Female chart, pregnancy, but it's gone 12 to itself. Okay, she lost a lot of babies, miscarriage, Mongala is here. There was violence as well. She had abortions as well. So children's situation is not going so well. The aspects are not at all helpful. Guru is aspecting full-on Rahu and Saturn, two malefics like this. Jupiter aspecting Rahu, arch enemy, in the house of bed pleasures, many sexual affairs, yes, liaisons, secret stuff going on there. Rahu politicians, we shall come back to all of that. And Rahu is drugs, poisons, of course, and she got addicted to barbiturates, drugs, because of 12th house factor. She had mega insomnia. It was a huge factor for her during this whole Jupiter Mahadasha. And Jupiter, of course, aspecting Saturn. This is not helpful for her home life. She did in the end, at the very end of this Jupiter Mahadasha, buy her own property, but she had difficulty feeling settled in her domestic situation. That was a factor. Of course, Guru's 7th aspect is onto the 2nd house of wealth. So wealth increases. One of the biggest factors, though, is a Rasi sign aspect, permanent factor here, assuring her of success. Did you see this, everybody? It's the Venus-Jupiter mutual Rasi aspect here. Jupiter, Venus, two benefics. This is what gave her the world fame. This is what took her to the top, made her so popular. 10th house for her skill as an actress, but of course, sex symbol, because Venus is all about that. We have discussed this previously. Of course, she married twice in this period. Here she is with her second husband, Joe DiMaggio. And did you see, of course, hopefully Jupiter aspecting Saturn full on. Saturn, the lord of the 7th house again. So we can expect marriage opportunities coming in this Guru Mahadasha. We can predict it. Actually, she married in the Jupiter-Saturn period. You see, once again, the accuracy of this Vedic astrology. We shall discuss this marriage and the next a little later on. Let's learn now about the Antaradashas, or sub-periods, sometimes called Bhukti. Once again, on my channel, there's a whole playlist. You should check it out after this video, perhaps, showing you how the Antaradashas hone in on the Mahadashas. Sub-periods link to the main dashas. I will put the link below for you. It goes like this, everybody. Mahadasha planet is you. We have discussed that fully. And the Antaradasha planet, Antara means within. So within the Mahadasha, there are sub-periods of dashas known as Antaradasha simply, or Bhukti happening. And these sub-periods breaking up the Mahadasha go in the same order as Mahadasha planet. Not going to go back through all that now. We have done order of Dasha. And these smaller periods generally, here's a big tip, represent other people. But sometimes circumstances coming to affect you, you will see this most consistently. And at a third level, the Antaradasha breaks up into further sub-dashas called Pratyantadasha. These represent events sometimes, but it can get very blurred. It doesn't even stop there. The third level goes into a fourth breakup of dashas, and the fourth into a fifth, and fifth into a sixth. But the 4, 5, 6 are internalized psychological states, and most Vedic astrologers don't worry about those too much. In fact, as a beginner, I would say most definitely keep to these first two breakdowns. Mahadasha planet, you understand it in the horoscope. Bhukti, Antaradasha planet, different people coming into your experiences, but circumstances, events come here. It's a blurred factor. So we've seen this in Marilyn Monroe's chart a little bit already. We're going to go into some more detail in a minute. First two levels, concentrate on those. How to see these Antaradashas, everybody? Check out your own personal software. This is, of course, Deva Guru. We have Vimsottari Dasha here, all of the main MAHADASHAs listed here for Marilyn Monroe. Just click on any of these planets and you will bring up Antaradasha subperiods. For example, click on Jupiter here. And you will bring up Jupiter divided into all the different Antaradashas or Bhukti periods, like Jupiter period with the dates, Jupiter-Saturn dates, Jupiter-Mercury with the dates, and so on. I've actually put in some events here: second marriage, third marriage, gallbladder operation. Going to have a look at those, and her death, although we're not looking at death in this particular video. That's coming later. On a very basic level, you can check, are these Antaradasha lords friendly to the Mahadasha lord Jupiter? If they are friends, it can help in the individual period. If they are enemies to Jupiter, more stressful, things like that. But of course, a much more deeper analysis has to be done in the actual horoscope. And in the horoscope, the most important consideration is the placement of the Antaradasha lord from the Mahadasha lord. Now, to make a judgment of the placement of the Antaradasha lord, is it helpful or not? You have to see the Mahadasha lord itself, Mahadasha planet, and count it as house 1. Wherever Mahadasha lord is in the horoscope, that counts as the first house. This is actually called Mahadasha chart, by the way, because you are seeing a whole new horoscope within your horoscope from the Mahadasha planet's placement. Once again, there's a video on my channel, Mahadasha chart, within the Mahadasha playlist, so later on you can check it out. Really have some good practice with that. But here we're going to see the most helpful placement. So counting from the position of the Mahadasha planet, first house of any Antaradasha lord with the lord of the Mahadasha is helpful generally, depending on the yoga form, etc. 4th house away, good. 5th house away, 9th house away, 10th house away. These are the most positive and helpful placements. On the other hand, we tend to see more challenging, difficult situations happening when the Antaradasha lord is in the 2nd house, 3rd, 6th, 7th, 8th, 11th, 12th from the Mahadasha planet. So count carefully. The most challenging are the 2nd house, 7th house, and the least, if I can say that, but still challenging, are the 3rd and 11th house. So you have to make a judgment in this way. So let's analyze then the 2nd and 3rd marriage of Marilyn Monroe, and we can also look at a very important event happened in Jupiter Moon when she had a gallbladder operation. This is quite dramatic. So Jupiter-Saturn's 2nd marriage occurred to Joe DiMaggio. Here she is with Joe DiMaggio, seen the picture before. 9 houses away from Jupiter is Shani. 9 is a fortunate placement, something good's going to happen. She got married. Saturn is the lord of the 7th house spouse. So this is quite an important factor. But Saturn's placement is not good. Saturn is retrograde. Saturn is exalted, but because he's retrograde, we have discussed, he is acting debilitated. So the other person coming into her life is shown by Saturn. Joe DiMaggio is Shani in her Jupiter Dasha. Shani represents somebody traditional. He was very traditional. He came from an Italian background. He wanted family life, home life. He didn't even like her having a movie career. She said he was too possessive, controlling. It didn't last 2 minutes. And by the time she had gone into Jupiter Mercury, not long after this, they divorced. Jupiter Mercury, she got divorced. And of course, she also married again. Let's have a look at this. Here she is with her 3rd husband, Arthur Miller, playwright, completely different person to Joe DiMaggio. She had met him previously, but they got together, married in the Jupiter Mercury period. Let's have a look at this. So she's in Jupiter Mahadasha, Mercury Subdasha, and she marries Arthur Miller. You can have a look at this now. How can you see the sort of husband she's going to marry, and how can you see whether it's going to work or not? And anything else you can pick up, of course, about this Jupiter-Mercury period. First thing, of course, yes, 5 houses away, positive factor, bringing good stuff, marriage, but she's marrying this person now, Mercury. Mercury represents writers, intellectuals, thinkers, something such as this. He was a playwright, writer. You couldn't be more accurate, could you? He was a bohemian. In the 11th house, he was very much into his own circle of friends. He was very much, let's say, intellectual. He was not anything like the traditional figure of Joe DiMaggio, who she married in the Jupiter-Saturn period. And of course, Mercury is in the 11th house. Did you see? That's about social networks. He had a wide circle of intellectual friends, people like that. Very, very different to the movie star people who she had been with before. It was a bit stressful for her. Mercury is the 12th house lord. It's gone here. So there's some fears, phobias. She had a lot of drug addiction still going on, drink addiction, all of these things. It was stressful, certainly. But what's the most important factor? It's the conjunction, isn't it? Always the conjunction, everyone. Mercury is in a combustion with the sun. Did you all see that? That was it. Mercury, the whole marriage just went up in flames. It just simply combusted. They were just not compatible. And even more to the point, she divorced Miller in Jupiter-Sun period. Literally combusted. So there we are. Let's check one more key event. In this Jupiter Dasha, she had a gallbladder removed in Jupiter Moon. Let's just have a quick look at this. This was no minor thing. Here she is leaving the hospital. Do you see she's been held up by these 2 policemen here because she was mobbed by fans. She couldn't actually get out of the hospital. It was chaos, and it was so stressful that her stitches came undone. You can see all of the blood seeping through onto her dress at that moment. So stop the video. How would you judge this Jupiter moon? Why is her health affected? What is her emotional state during this time? What else can you see about this Jupiter moon period? I'm sure you got it. Jupiter is the lord of the 6th house. We predicted at the beginning when we saw Jupiter Mahadasha itself, it will bring fame, fortune, 9th house lord, but health issues as well. The lord of health has gone into the sudden events, 8th house. This is the house of surgery. Mangala's natural house, of course, the 8th house. And the moon is 12 houses away. 12 away is hospitals. It's an unfortunate placement. So she's having health issues. Moon is, of course, ascendant lord. Further factor about health, well-being, not being good. 12th away from the Mahadasha lord. Moon is emotions, feelings. During this time, there was a lot of evidence she was feeling lonely, pretty miserable, even as she got more and more popular with the public. Here they are mobbing her. Not so inside. She was pretty miserable. She had divorced by then. She was alone and she was feeling pretty isolated. Don't forget, 12th house is a house of isolation as well. Check out the other playlists on my channel to complement the learning up on your screen right now. And don't forget, transits coming up next video. Good luck with your learning. Goodbye for now. God bless. And of course, sub if you're new.